Okay, well, Tammy and I have been here for almost 2 weeks. I'm leaving in a couple hours, heading back to California, try to get some work finished, um, get back into a routine for a couple of weeks, and then be back here for Thanksgiving. That is the plan. And prayerfully, I can't even talk this morning, that will all come about, assuming that we are still here. Lord Jesus, come at any minute. Anyway, so just wanted to do a little documentary of what we've accomplished while we've been here. So as you can see, the carport has been moved. That was quite an ordeal. The deck still exists on the old cabin and is still a wreck. That is going to be removed. Trees grew through it, and those trees are like rubber. I've tried to cut them with chainsaws, and managed to get some of it, but boy, the chain keeps breaking. This is like a rubber tree. I don't know what in the world it is, but we're going to take this deck off, and this part of the cabin is relatively new. I think the cabin part was built in the 50s, and then this part was added probably, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago or so. And it is in good shape inside. It just looks like Brady Bunch era. So we're probably going to keep this part and tear this part down. It's just also lopsided. I don't know if you can tell that in the video, but it's kind of caved in inside. And we'll build onto this and not waste it, because right now building materials are insanely expensive, even here in Alabama. And so I don't know if you remember, but when we first got here, you couldn't even walk up to this house. It was so overgrown. Basically, all around the house and this whole property looked about like that, or like it does across the street. Well, worse actually than what it looks like across the street, because it was also full of briars, which were blackberry briars, which would be great if they bore fruit, but they didn't, and you couldn't walk through any part of the property really without just getting ripped to pieces. Check the mail while I'm out here. So anyway, we move this across the street, and that makes room for sorry for panning around so fast. That makes room for more turnaround space. It opens up this entry to the driveway, or actually kind of more of an exit, because we're also going to put, so there's 3 RV pads here. We're also going to put, I'm going to try to put 4 on the other side of the creek. And so we had this cleared this last week. I mean, it's not finished, but had some equipment failure while we were working out here. But I think it's going to be really nice. Turns out, oddly enough, you know, we knew there was at one time a mobile home up on this hill, and we thought that deck right there that was left, you couldn't really see it. It was so overgrown. But now that it's been cleared, we can see more of it. We thought that deck was for the mobile home, but it wasn't. There was an above-ground swimming pool right there, probably 20, 30, maybe, I don't know, however many years ago. And there's a flat spot where the pool used to sit, and there's pieces of the vinyl lining up there. So, and there's the remnants of a basketball goal. It's just weird. It's kind of like we feel like Columbo as we're like detectives trying to figure out the history of this place. But anyway, so yeah, we did that clearing, and I erected this 18-foot pole, which will serve as a temporary power pole for this side. And that was an event. I did that by myself, which that thing weighs like 28,000 pounds, I think. And of course it was wet because it had been pressure treated, and it was super, super crazy heavy. But all of these pads, they just got elongated because the deck is gone. Well, the deck will be gone, but because of the carport is gone. And this all has to be landscaped. And the back end, well, we still got to do the electrical too. And the plumbing is sticking way too far out of the ground. We got to fix that. The back edge is going to be brought back and leveled, and new gravel will be put down, and then we're going to have like a fire pit area for each of these. It'll be very nice and landscaped. And so that's that. We got a little water in the creek. It rained a few times, not a ton, but it's a start. Today is a very overcast day, and in a couple of days it's supposed to be 23 degrees at night. And I'm glad I'm not going to be here for that. But before I leave today, I have to wrap all these pipes with some insulation because we don't want them to freeze. So the plan here is that RVs can come in that entrance right there that used to be the driveway up to the mobile home that used to be there many, many moons ago. And so they can come in, and then this spot will be one. Then we'll have to clear out a few more of these trees, but there'll be another one there. I think 3 right in this space, and then up past the big tree, a 4th one on the hill, kind of where the mobile home used to sit. And then to exit, they will come out here. Well, kind of that last one will be kind of down the hill. We'll fill that in some. And then by this tree, and we'll put a culvert here and kind of make a little bridge over the creek. And then this area down here at the end where the hill comes down, that's where we want to build a gazebo or a pavilion or whatever you want to call it. Kind of a little community space. And because we are, I'm going to call us extreme Christians. This is going to be a Christian campground, and anybody that comes here is going to know it. We don't even have to say it. We are going to put Christian, not tacky or anything like that, but we're going to put very tasteful scriptures. I heard somebody off in the distance yelling. Christian things on like wooden signs, and we're going to have a walking trail up through the hill here. There's going to be things along the way. It's going to be very tasteful, but again, this place shall bring glory to God in every way, shape, and form. And we are going to make sure of that. And one day, if someone wants to come here and use the pavilion or whatever to get married, let's say, they're going to know this is a place that is serving God. And I'll just leave it at that, because there's a lot of different types of people that want to get married. So, alright, so my nemesis for the last 2 weeks has been this building. We decided to make this building that existed. It was a storage shed that was built by the previous owner, Carl Albritton. I don't know, probably again 20, 30 years ago, maybe more. And we decided we wanted to use it as a bathhouse. So it'll have a shower, a toilet, sink, sitting area for changing and whatnot. And so originally was over here somewhere. We still have stuff that has to be hauled off and more burn piles that the contractor's going to have to deal with. But it used to be over here by this tree. And so it was moved with a skid steer, and when they did that, they tore up the bottom of it. So all of the floor joists were broken and bent over, and so the whole building was dilapidated and like leaning, and the siding was all busted up. And so I took all the siding off. It was sitting on the ground, and so I had to basically use a jack and leverage some beams and stuff like that to get it off the ground, little by little, finally get it up high enough, get it level, put legs under it, concrete those in. I'm not quite finished. I'm going to put a few more. And then get the thing plumb. It was all leaning over, like the wood was crazy. And I think I have pictures of it. And then get new sheathing on and new studs. And I still have to do a new roof. I still have to put the siding on and all this kind of stuff. But so basically in 2 weeks, this is what I accomplished. And I know things don't look really straight and all, but when you're working by yourself and you don't have another set of hands, that's as good as I could get it. All that'll be covered up anyway. But we knew it was going to rain, and so I had to get some waterproofing on this. And before I leave today, I'll cover the door, because there isn't a door. The door that was there was an old 36-inch door that the owner had cut down to 32 inches, and it was all dilapidated, and it's kind of in the burn pile now. But yeah, so I think this is going to be nice. I have a picture of what I want it to look like. Tammy and I have looked at different designs. We want to keep it super simple, kind of rustic, which makes it inexpensive, but still kind of cool in a way. And so that's kind of the plan. If I have that picture, I'll show it here if I get to edit this video together. But anyway, so the big tree that used to lay right here actually is now that big tree in that pile. And so that's our humble abode. And all of this has been cleared since the last time I was here. This on the edge here will be kind of the road through. Where all of this is, there'll be 4 or 5 RV sites. I decided I don't really want to put anybody under this tree because that is a huge tree and those limbs are enormous. And I'm just afraid that if one fell, it could be kind of devastating to a RV. But anyway, so the other side over here, there's somebody yelling with a dog. So the other side of the creek, so picture this, an RV sitting there kind of facing me, and then when they're ready to leave, they drive out. There'll be gravel, of course, and that'll be level-ish. And then they'll come around this tree, and there will be like a little bridge, culvert area here, and it will come across, and then they will drive. So maybe here there's another RV somewhere out from under this tree, but then the RV from the other side will drive over here, catch the road, and then from there drive to, we'll get there. It's a little treacherous out here. Drive over here past, or kind of, no, actually before that other burn pile, go across that big culvert and up Mammoth Mountain. Now when we got here, they had finished this, and it was very muddy because it had been raining. Oh look, there's deer tracks out here all the time. Pretty good sized one there. But every morning there's fresh deer tracks out here. And we've seen a lot of them. Let's see, we've seen deer, fox, turkey, a lot of turkeys. And Thanksgiving's coming up. They better be hiding. Oh, I don't know. All kinds of stuff. Hawks. I was told there's moles. Not moles. Platypus. Platypus, plural. Whatever that is. In this creek. And crawdads. We've also been told that Bigfoot lives out here. And cougars. And crazy stuff like that. I don't see any evidence of any of that. I don't see any big footprints, and I don't see any... You know, the thing is the wildlife out here, like the deer, they seem pretty comfortable. They're not, running in terror. I don't think Bigfoot or mountain lions are around here. But anyway, what is here is a gigantic hill. And so our fear, and you may not be able to tell this from the video, but that is really tall. It reminds me of the corkscrew at Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, which, if you don't know, is a world-famous racetrack. And I've been up on that corkscrew many times, and it's steep like this. I'm not sure how many stories that is tall, but it is pretty tall. And we were concerned that people wouldn't want to come down here with their motorhomes or RVs. But then I remembered Laguna Seca, there's also an RV campground there at the racetrack, and they go up steeper hills than that to get to their spots. And, of course there's an attraction there because they want to go to the race or be there in a beautiful spot in Monterey. But this is going to be a beautiful spot too. And people out here at Smith Lake, which is about like 30 minutes from us, they go down steeper grades with their RVs to camp by the lake. And so we're hoping that people will not consider it undoable. And, that it's going to be nice enough down here to where people actually will still want to come and spend some time. And, so we're praying about that. They said basically that, the mountain could be made less steep. It's already come a long way. That took a lot of money, and we're pretty much dry. And they said that, money can move that mountain. Well, we're just going to have to rely on faith because we don't have that any longer. But it's steep, I'm not going to lie. So the first time I went up it with the truck, or the Suburban, I should say, I thought, oh my goodness. So I got up ahead of steam and started up it and was going way too fast, and it was kind of stupid of me. And so then the second time I did it, I went up basically at idle, just with a little bit of gas. And it was about 1,000 RPM, and it just went right up it with no problem. Of course, I wasn't towing a trailer. And so one of the guys who was working out here on some equipment, he had a 6,000-pound trailer that he hauls equipment on, and a 2,500, I think it was a Chevy. No, I'm sorry, it may have been a 250 Ford. So in other words, the medium duty. And he went right up at towing that trailer with no problem. So we're thinking that it's going to be okay. Well, we're praying it's going to be okay. Okay, I just said Bigfoot hadn't been here, but those are some pretty deep. They're not very big, but they're really deep. And that wasn't me. There's a deer next to it. Interesting. It's still very muddy out here. Okay, so anyway, when you come down the hill, eventually we'll have like a small office or something kind of over here. There's this Christian-owned, in the town of Jasper, there's this Christian-owned little, they sell like sheds and stuff like that, but some of them are like, makeshift offices, and they have one there which would be perfect for an office, and maybe even put like washer and dryer or stuff like that for our guests in. And they'll come and set it up for you. Anyway, we were thinking about putting one of those over here one day when we can afford that. And probably, this is pretty flat in here, probably carve out a couple of more of RV pads in this space here, maybe 2 or 3 along this tree line that they can back in. We don't have a lot of pull-throughs. I think the only pull-throughs really are ever going to be, over across the creek that I already elaborated on. So that would give us a total of, let's see, 3 here, plus 4, so we're at 7. I think here probably 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12. And then if we have, let's say 13, 14 over here, and there could be another 1 or 2 on the other side of the creek over here. So we could be at 15 or 16. But this whole side would require new septic tanks, which are of course very expensive, and so that'll be a while. So I think we're going to start with the 3 plus maybe the 4 if we can, if I can sell some stuff back at the shop and get some money together. But this is actually more acreage through here that could be excavated, but yeah, it's not really in the plan right now. I'd love to go in there and see what it's like in there, but it's so thick. I'd have to be suited up and have a machete and all that kind of stuff. So here's more tracks. But that's kind of the update. This actually looks kind of easy to go in, but you don't know what you're going to run into when you go in there. I've walked through a couple of big spider webs, and that wasn't a lot of fun, because they get stuck all over you, and you don't really know where the spider is, if it's on you or if it's still hanging there somewhere. So anyway, that's that. God bless. Blessings to all of you who are watching this. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, if I post it or just show it to friends and family. Kind of a little update, but we're super excited about finishing this, giving glory to God, and making sure that everybody that comes here will get a blessing. And so, anyway, that is that. There's our hill. So God bless, take care, goodbye. So I thought I'd come over here really quick. So I can picture kind of between these trees, RVs, like maybe one over there between the creek and those 2 trees, and then another one. I don't know, those trees may have to go. I'm not sure if that's wide enough. Those 2 right there in the middle. And then we could, we'll have to bring in some dirt to make another one here on this side of the tree, and then a 4th one here, maybe where this pool used to be, because it's already been dug out and pretty flat. We'll just have to bridge that a little bit. And then when they're exiting, they will go basically down through here, let's see here, down through here, tried to save some of the bigger trees, but they still, just because of the, you know, where the RVs will have to go, some of them may have to come out. But we're planning to plant new trees back when we can. A new friend of ours, Drew, he said that he has a bunch of a certain type of oak that he can bring, small ones. So basically, they will exit here. So these will be our 4 pull-through spots. And then we'll have the culvert under this, well, under both these trees. It'll go right past here and then connect with the main driveway through the campground. Now, I was told these are muscadine vines. Of course, they're not living anymore because they got severed at the bottom from the bush hog. But evidently they produce fruit and whatnot. I think now Tarzan can swing from this tree. But that's another thing we were thinking about. We definitely need some swings from a couple of the trees maybe. That'd be kind of cool, especially these really big trees we have. But here's what I was thinking over here. Originally we were going to cut these out because these are just some kind of a hedge thing. I can't remember what they're called. But they grow like crazy. And they're not just, as you can see, one stump. There's like 10, 20, whatever, all over the place. But, so, by the creek, they were actually very ugly. And they were just overwhelming the creek. So those were cut out already. But, here's what I'm thinking over here. Because the gazebo or pavilion or whatever is going to be right here. It's nice and pretty level. I can work around that. I'm going to build this myself. Again, I am a restorer of old classic cars. I haven't built anything in my life like out of wood. This, what's going to be a bathhouse, was the first thing I've ever done, and it was a challenge because I was working alone. But I pretty much did it. It was a learning experience, and so I'm going to take that new knowledge and apply it over here. I want to build a really pretty pavilion. All this will be cleaned up right next to the creek, which normally has a lot more water than that, and it'll be very pretty. Anyway, but what I wanted to show was walking to the pavilion. I didn't realize it until they came out here and did a little work, but isn't this cool? Cleaned up a little bit. It makes like a really cool walking area to the pavilion. It kind of provides like a canopy. And so I think what we'll do is we'll clean all this up and make it look really cool, but not take these trees down. I don't know. What do you think? Okay, we're going to ride to the top of the hill in a Suburban. I just thought I would do this for kicks. This ought to be interesting. It's a little, well, it's been foggy all morning, so it's a little damp. So what we're driving over right now will eventually be RV pads. I think at least 4, nicely spaced. We don't want anybody to be cramped out here. We want it to be cozy. Alright. So we're gonna go over the culvert. You see where they've dug a bunch of dirt and rock out of the hill here. And so now we're just gonna creep up the hill. Now there's a big layer of rock they couldn't get through, which is kind of unfortunate right here in front of us. Now we'll go up more, and then it settles back down a little bit. So I'm going about 1,000 RPM right now. And this is our little driveway. So this all used to look like what you see to the right and the left. And eventually this will be graded, and we'll have at least gravel down on the flat spot or flat parts, and then we'll have to have actual paving going up that hill, because otherwise people will probably get stuck and be spinning their tires and not going anywhere. So, and this is our entrance to the highway, which is Cordova Parish Highway, and a big truck got stuck over here to the left last week when it was raining for a couple of days, and he got stuck in there. Man, was he stuck. But it was like a panel truck, like a UPS truck, but it was white. And so I'm not really sure. I guess he got out with a wrecker, because there's no way he was getting out of there on his own power. But anyway, that's that. God bless. And I've got to go to the hardware store and get some wrap for pipes, because it's supposed to be 23 degrees next week, one night this coming week. So anyway, God bless. Take care. Well, that was a real quick trip. The local hardware store, I think it's owned and operated by the guy that I always see there, and I think this is just part of small town living. There's nobody else that works there, I don't think. And he was supposed to open at 9. It's almost 10. He's still not open. I think it's Saturday, and I think he just comes in whenever he wants to. So I thought I would take this opportunity to go down the hill, because this is actually a pretty view coming down the hill. I don't know. I just thought, well, why not? Why not just do it? So here we go, down the hill. It's a little bumpy. There's a big clump of rock that they couldn't dig out without $20,000 worth of rental of other equipment, which just isn't going to happen. So it's not really that bad. I don't think it's that bad. For now, we have to take a left. And that's that. And there's our burn pile. It's all wood and cardboard.